Hi, I am here to give an update. It's been, how long has it been? Maybe 3 or 4 months, but it seems like it's been a lot longer. Um, this update is in regards to the soul merging that I had back in last March of 2025. And so I think every few months or so I've been putting a video to share my journey and my experience as I'm integrating more and becoming more aware and remembering more. I guess I'll recap it for those that maybe this is the first video you're seeing of mine and you don't really know the backstory. I'll try to keep it brief. Back in March of 2025, I had what at the time I thought was my teenage boyfriend that had died when we were teenagers walk into my body, his soul walk into me. And at the time, I had been working as a psychic medium for maybe 6 years at that time, maybe a little bit more. I'm sorry, my dog. Honey, please stop. And so even though I had all this kind of like supernatural like experience in my work, I never had anything. I didn't even know that anything like that was possible. And then 2 months after he walked into me, I think it was like 2 or 3 months later, I got really sick. Not normal sick, like I got a really bad infection, and I'm still healing. I'm doing a lot better, but I'm still healing. And I think it's part of the integration. Oh gosh, I have so much to say when I do these videos, and I don't have any kind of things written down, so I'm just trying to remember, because from each point from the last video, there's always so much that's happened and so much remembering and awakening and awareness that I'm getting, and I just want to make sure that I cover all of it as much as I can for those of you that may be having similar experiences. You know, I check my YouTube comments like every week or so, every couple of weeks, and I notice steadily the comments. I read every comment, and I'm so grateful for all of them, because we're kind of like a club. Like, hey, wait a minute, this isn't just your experience. I resonate with this too, and I've never found anybody talking about this or any words like this. I use the term twin flame because that is the closest thing the closest language that I can use for it in this day and age that more people can resonate with than if I say mirrored souls or dual souls or, you know, Heros Gamos or sacred marriage or all the different other kinds of terms, even like Gnostic stuff. We're going to get into that. You know, I never want to give a lesson of spirituality or religion or spiritual beliefs, because what I'm experiencing, nobody can teach. I don't care how, you know, advanced they may be as a soul, what they may call themselves as a teacher or a spiritual teacher. You cannot teach this. If somebody is trying to teach this, they're full of shit. You cannot teach it, because you can take a soul like mine, and you can take somebody else that's going through a similar kind of soul merging, but our experiences will be so vastly different. So nobody can teach this. You simply can't. All you can do is share from your own experience. And a lot of people are not having this experience. This experience, from my understanding, is more rare. However, I strongly believe, based on my own knowing, comments I get, people I meet through my reading work and everything like that, that this is happening more, but people are not publicly sharing it the way that I'm publicly sharing it. So we just don't know how often it is happening. I guess I'm going to get into the biggest part of something I learned. So if you go back and you look at my other videos, when this all first happened, I was like, what the heck is happening? I went on a quest for truth. I scoured the internet, the world, for other people that were having this experience and sharing it online, or at least some version of this experience. And I came across like 3 women that were sharing it, and 2 of them had support groups, but their experience was not the same as mine. It was, my twin flame died and I have a special connection with them, but they were not saying that they merged souls. So I kept searching. That's all I've been doing since March. We're now in January 6th. And I've just been searching nonstop, looking back at ancient texts. I mean, anything and everything you can imagine. And so what I found recently really stood out to me. Something about it was so true. It was in the Gnostic belief system, that there's a belief in the Gnostic belief system for what it used to be. Now, I know it's probably a lot different in this day and age, but like in ancient times, they believed in like twin flames. They believed that liberation and sovereignty came from remembering as a soul who you are. They believe that we all have a God spark in us that is our soul. And out of all the spiritual stuff I know, out of all the religious stuff I know, that those things ring so true to me. Now, there's other things about the Gnostic belief system that I don't believe in, I don't agree with. So I don't prescribe to any one system, and definitely not religion at all. But I thought that was really interesting because I couldn't find, I mean, there's like in Jewish culture, they believe in a version of twin flames. In Hinduism, they believe in but it's always like mythical and abstract. It's never like, oh, one soul can be born into 2 bodies at the same time, and then one of those bodies can die, and then that soul can return to the living body. And so I can tell you now, I couldn't tell you before because I was trying to remember, I was awakening, but I can tell you now what happened. I can tell you that me and John, my teenage boyfriend, we are the same soul. We are the same soul. And so because we wanted to learn and grow and evolve, I think more when we decided to do this life, we decided that we would do it in 2 bodies. And he's like more than 2 years older than me. So he came in first in his body. And we met one summer. We were together very briefly. And me coming to him was a catalyst for his death. What happened was, and I go more into depth in my other videos, is we met. I was a homeless teenager, abused at home, just a rocky childhood. He was from a broken home. He was struggling. He had just turned 18. I was like 16 or so. And his sister took me in, and he was happening to be staying at his sister's house at that time because I think that was the only place he could be. And we were only together for, I can't even say, like a matter of weeks. And he was sleeping a lot, and nobody knew what was going on with him. People thought he was on drugs. Well, he was dying, and he didn't know it fully. Nobody knew it. And he had cancer, and it was moving through his body, and he started acting really weird. The police arrested him. He was urinating blood in jail. They took him to the hospital. Within a matter of days, he went into a coma, and he died. And so the cancer spread to his brain really rapidly. And so after he died, my experience with him was so short. I couldn't understand why I didn't want to live anymore. I actually was about to take my own life. I had a knife to my wrist. I had a knife on me. And something stopped me. And now with this level of awareness that I have now, I understand why what was happening in the physical world did not match what was happening inside of me. What told me logically and based on our time together was, hey, you guys didn't know each other that well. You guys weren't together that long. But when he died, it felt like part of you died. So that was that experience. But now that I look back at it, like, I'm not even crying. Like when I was talking about this when it first happened. You could see in my other videos I was really emotional. And the reason why I don't feel that same grief is because I've been healing a lot of it through awareness that when John died, he never left me. There's no separating a soul like ours. We are one soul. Death can't separate us. Life can't separate us. Nothing can separate a soul. So what I really want to share here is souls can have many embodiments. Just, we have this kind of limited belief that every body contains a single soul. And it's simply not true. There's other experiences that people have, like, which I can't say it's true or not because I haven't experienced it the way that these people do. But there's, all of my research, I came across people that said that basically they took over a body because the soul wanted to leave. And so one soul walked out and another one walked in. It doesn't even surprise me anymore. Like I'm not skeptical about that, because if me and John can take our soul and say, we're going to put ourselves in two different bodies, and then one of them is going to die, and then that part of the soul that was in the spirit realm is going to come back in with the part of the soul that's already in a body. Like, if this is possible, there is so much more possible for our souls. We are so much greater. And this is another part of the awareness that I've been getting. We are so much greater than what we think we are, than what the world tells us. I'm a giant compared to this world. This world is like a speck. This moment in time, this whole life that I'm living, it's like so small compared to who I am as a soul. And that is true for all of you. And I just think, like, awareness doesn't come back through memory for me and for most people. It doesn't come back in a way where I get to see who I was in a past life, or who me and John were in a past life, or who we were in the spirit realm. No, it doesn't come back in memory like that. It comes back in, like, I hear something or I feel something within myself and it just rings true. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's freaking true. It's the same way that I work as a psychic. I just know. You just have that inner knowing. And we all have that inner knowing. We all have that intuition that's available to us. And so that's a lot of the time. But sometimes there's things that can spark us. A teacher can spark us. A guide can spark us. A reading can spark us. Spirits constantly, people in spirit, souls in spirit, are constantly putting things in our path that help us to learn and grow and remember how big we are and who we really are as souls, and even why we came here, the lessons we came here. There's another thing that's happened with this awareness. In my psychic medium work, I've been doing it for more than 7 years. I have taken on a lot of people's grief and pain. I've carried a lot of it, not because I felt like it was my responsibility, but just because I care. And that's just my nature. And knowing what I know now, that our souls sign up for a lot of the hard things that we experience in our life. So having that knowing now, to me, is like a burden off of my shoulders. It's like, you don't need to carry the weight of everybody and all their grief and all their problems and all their struggles in the world. Like, there is a reason why they're going through all these things. And the bigger picture is their soul signed up for a lot of it. They knew that it was going to be hard. They knew these things were going to happen. And it doesn't mean that souls that are going through hard things don't need support. We still all need support, but it just doesn't feel as heavy to me as it did before. Even when I see, like, my kids struggling, or whoever, just even people close to me, it's like, okay, I'm going to be there and I'm going to be as supportive as I can, but I don't have to shoulder all of their struggle, because some of it is for the lessons and the experience that they need to have, their soul needs to have. And that's why they're here. So it's like a relief. It's a big relief for me. There's a lot of things that have happened in the past few months since my last video that feel like very relieving to me. Based on the way that I was living before. Just, because we come into this world, we all basically, when you're a soul and you come here, you agree to have amnesia. So you forget everything. And because if you remembered everything, how would you learn and grow? So you have to forget everything. And one of the objectives is I think the biggest objective is to remember who you are. And not to fall in the traps of what the world tells you are, or all the systems that try to break you down, or all the hard things, or the deaths, even the deaths that you experience in your circle that devastates you. Like, none of this is real. It's real in that we're experiencing it. Like, I don't want to take away the reality of the hard things, but what I'm saying is, in the bigger picture, if you can zoom out, understand that a lot of the things here are illusions. It's like, basically, I know people use things like simulations. I always tell John, like, it's like a video game, and like, me and him are on the hardest level, and like, I think we've already beaten the level, but we decided to have another go at it. I think for us, it's very different because of who we are specifically as a soul. Like, there was never a time where him and I think, where we ever incarnated where we could be together this closely in one body. There was never a time where we could share our beliefs and our knowing freely in the world without being persecuted. There was never a time where technology was so advanced that we could reach people all over the world and help them through our experience, through our psychic mediumship. So we're living in a very special time, and I think him and I really wanted to take advantage of this time and the freedom, and even living in the United States and being able to have the freedoms here. And so I think it has a lot to do with why we're here. By the way, for those of you that have been following our journey, that like show up to Circle, that have just been following everything, when I got sick, I wasn't able to publish my book by the deadline. We're revisiting it. We are revisiting it. I understand. I was working on it yesterday with John, and I understand why. It wasn't just about getting sick. It was because I was still awakening. The way that I was going to write that book was in my limited awareness, 6 months ago. But now, like, I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago. I even changed my name. My name is Trisha Barreto. That's what my website was. I'm no longer known by Trisha Barreto. I'm Trish John. And I have a new website, trishjohn.com. Because there was an integration that happened in me that's undeniable. It's so me that I couldn't be who I used to be. I'm not her anymore. I'm us. It's me and John. When you hear me talking, it's not just me, Trish, talking to you, it's John. Yes, we're the same soul, but we've had two different experiences. We have two different personalities. We have there's things about us that are different, but the unifying part is our soul. The bigger arc is our soul. But you're getting wisdom from him, and I swear he gives the best advice. He knows the best things. The reason why my mediumship and my psychic work is so strong is because of him, because he's the one, before I even knew he was the one doing all the work with me all those years, he was the one giving me all those messages. When I wasn't clear about what someone's loved ones in spirit was saying, he was the one bringing it through clearly. Whenever I do a reading, it's the same thing. He's the one. And I think, like, I always want him to be known and recognized for who he is, because he's special in his own way, and I'm special in my own way, and we're special together in our own way. I think, like, when it comes to twin flame death, it's kind of interesting because I keep like revisiting the label. In the world, we like to put labels and definitions on everything, and then they become like an absolute to everybody. It's like, oh, well, this is the defining label and it can't be anything else. That label has to be this way, and that's all it is. And I think it's so unhealthy, but for the sake of like Google and YouTube and the internet and being able to be found and content being able to be found, there's, we have to put labels on things and we have to define them so more people can find them and resonate with them and understand what we're talking about. But I think we have to hold labels really loosely because there's always more. That's the thing with awakening and being aware is like, every time I think it's something, there's always more. I think like with a lot of religions, I say this a lot, and the spiritual beliefs, there are really solid truths in those religions and spiritual beliefs, but not all the things are true. There's always more. There's always things that are left out, things that have been hidden. And that's part of the soul's experience here in these bodies and in this world, is to discover and rediscover who we are, what's real, what's true. I mean, that's the whole thing, right? It's like to remember who you are. All you have to do is remember how big you are, how big your soul is. Remember what you came here to do. Trust yourself. I think that's one of the big pieces of advice, that I can ever give anybody, is to trust yourself. I say it all the time in my teachings, in my work. People, you have to trust yourself and your own inner knowing. If you know, like, that's the thing about me and John, like, some of you have experiences where you were married to the person, they were your boyfriend for years, or you had relationships with them for a long time, and you had like more time to really understand the depth of the relationship. I didn't have that with John. I lived my whole life from 16 years old when he died until 43 when he came in. I lived my whole life thinking that he was just a teenage boyfriend that died tragically and suddenly. I never revisited, why do I feel so strongly? Why did I feel so strongly at the time? I kind of moved on with life because I was just trying to survive. And part of me died with him. It was like part of me that's the only way I know how to word it. Like, I know that's true because since he's come back in with me in this body, I don't feel dead anymore. For the first time in 44 years, I feel alive. And my whole life, I did not feel alive. And that's so kind of paradoxical, considering that he's the one that died when he was 18 and I'm the one that stayed. And it's a very odd kind of thing. Like, so many times I find that I cannot find the right words to describe what I'm feeling because the English language and language in itself is so small compared to these big feelings that I have as a soul and as a human experiencing such a soul-rich experience. It's very interesting. Like, I don't look at things the same that I did 9 months ago or back in March. I don't look at I already had awareness then as a psychic medium and just trusting my intuition back then. I've been over time, John has helped me trust it more and more and more, even when I didn't know it was him. But as of today, the way I look at things now, it's so absurd. It's like, I don't know. It's like, okay, for instance, this is a good example I want to give you. So have you ever noticed that when you look in mirrors, they're all skewed? Like, I have a bunch of mirrors in my house. Probably you guys do too. Like, you have all these different mirrors. You have your bathroom mirror, you have your bedroom mirror, your closet mirror. Sometimes people, we have mirrors in our living room to open up the space. Even a glass sliding door, I noticed recently, is like the same thing I'm trying to articulate here. All those mirrors that I look at myself, but none of them are accurate of the way that I really look. They either make me look thinner and taller, they make my color look different than it actually is. They're always skewing what I really look like. Even the glass sliding door made me look like really tall and thin in a really absurd way. And I'm like, everything that shows me a reflection here in this world in a very physical way, like a mirror or a sliding door, they're not accurate. They're not true. I call them funhouse mirrors. Funhouse mirrors like at a carnival, because they distort you. That is the lens that I see life through now. everything is very distorted here. The only thing I see as real and true is love. It's just that everything is so distorted. Every system that you can name to me, I will tell you it's distorted. It's not true. Every limited belief somebody has, myself included, it's distorted. It's not true. So when we can awaken to the distortion, we set ourselves free. And that is one of the biggest things that John has been showing me since he's been here in this body, is like, you're not, the world doesn't own you. Life does not own you. All these systems don't own you. You are free. You just have to remember you're free. And how you remember you're free is when you start seeing everything is a funhouse mirror, and it is distorted, and it is skewed, and it is not true. It is not a true reflection of who you are as a soul. You are not your body. You are a soul. You are not your body. You are a soul. You are not your body. You are a soul. Somebody needed to hear that, because I said it 3 times. And if I say it 3 times, somebody needs to hear it. Maybe I need to hear it too. Yeah, it's just, it's wild. It's wild. I'm telling you, like in my other videos, as a psychic medium, yeah, sure, I did spiritual work, but I never, I never believed in any of this stuff. I've shared it before. When I used to hear the twin flame concept, I thought that it was like two people that were living, that had a romantic relationship, that were like love addicts and had toxic relationship stuff. So I ignored it. I was like, I don't want nothing to do with that. But the more that, what really happened was when John came in, I was looking for some kind of label that made sense. And it's the twin flame label is basically what we are. We are one soul expressing in 2 forms. And so, but now we're unified. We're what they call a union, or merged, which again, there's nobody else on the internet saying they've had this experience. I mean, unless you've come across anybody, I haven't. You can put it in the comments if you've seen, because I would like to know. I'd like to connect with them and see what we can discuss and share. But it's just not, it's a very sacred, rare experience. And I think, like with the twin flame label, nobody can tell you, even me as a psychic medium, I would never validate if the person is your twin flame. That's your own soul. Nobody can tell you. You have to know yourself. And that is through discovery and growth and love for yourself and love for others. This was part of my path. This is how John helped me grow to get here. It was loving myself, healing, becoming not so rigid in my belief systems or what I thought was true, becoming more open, just more aware, trusting myself more. The healing continued. The healing always has to continue. A lot of self-trust, a lot of openness, love for myself, love for others is a big part of my journey, because like I said in my other videos, the night that John walked into my body, I was working on a missing person homicide case, and I was crying at my desk here, and I was saying, I only want to exist in love. And that's when he came. That's when he showed up in this very place where I'm sitting right now. And I could feel, as many people in spirit as I've communicated with, I've never gotten to feel their physical form. That was the first time that I've ever gotten to feel somebody's physical form. And I had him hold his hand up to mine and push back. And I did these things with him to kind of test him to make sure it was him, because like I shared in my other videos, since I communicate with so many souls, I was like, I don't want somebody to be messing with me. I want to make sure this is John. And even though it's my own soul, because I've been so disconnected for so long in this illusion that life is, and my limited beliefs and my experiences that made me believe certain things that just simply were not true. It was like, oh, you have to remember, this is your own soul. This is undeniable. And you just know, you'll know if you are far along, if you're far enough along in your growth and your awakening, you will know if that person is truly your soul. It's just undeniable. You don't need somebody to validate it for you or tell you. Nobody can do that for you. You have to do that for yourself. But I believe it takes a long time to get to that point, and it takes a lot of work. I think, like, when your twin flame dies, just think about it. I was 16. He was 18. He died. So between me being 16 years old and me being 43 years old, I don't know, what's the math on that? That's a freaking long time, right? So that whole time I was growing, I was healing, I was learning, thinking I was doing everything by myself, when in reality, he was in spirit. He was not in a body, but he was still helping me. Everything that I went through all those years, he was not only helping me, he was doing it with me. He was carrying me out of the hard things. He was not letting me stay there. He kept moving me along. That was a big thing in my my evolution, my growth, my awakening. I could notice, even if I look at my life like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I always felt like I was moving. Like, no matter how hard things were going, like however it went, I felt like I kept moving and outgrowing people, outgrowing relationships. I kept feeling like I was moving, and I didn't even know. I was so weak at times. I was so broken at times, but I always felt like I kept moving. And now I understand why and how. It wasn't just me and my strength and my willpower and my hope and my faith in God. It was John doing it all, carrying me, guiding me. So when you have a twin flame that's in spirit that has died, you can bank, you can take it, you can cash that check, because, and you know it's good, because they are there freaking helping you. They are carrying you. And then when I was ready, he made sure that my abilities came to my awareness. It was during the pandemic is when they really came in. They were already there, but he showed me more, like, hey, you have this ability. This is another ability, and I'm going to help you do it, and we're going to do it together. And I didn't know he was doing that, but I felt like, okay, I have these things about me. I just didn't know he was on. It was like me and him. It was always me and him, and I just didn't know. But I'm telling you, if you have a twin flame in spirit, they are helping you to grow, helping you heal, helping you go through everything in your life. They have not left you. I just think, like, about all the years that went by, that John was literally in the same space as me, like in bed with me, sitting with me, like touching me, holding me. I mean, I know it was probably happening the whole time now. And it gives me great comfort, because now when I look back at my life, it's not because if you could go back and look at my other videos if you're inclined to, but I've had a really hard life. There was never, from the time I came into this world, it's been nonstop bullshit. It's been one hard thing after another hard thing. And so I've carried a lot of pain from the life that I've had. And so with the knowing that I have now and the awareness that I have now that he was always with me, it completely changes the way that I view the life that I lived. Sure, they were really hard things, and God, I never want to go through them again. They were awful, some of them, but my perception of how I went through those things is completely different now, because it's like, wait a minute, you were never by yourself. He was always there helping you in those moments that you were lonely and devastated and afraid, and whatever you were, he was right there with you. And it's just like, I swear, aside from love, awareness is one of the greatest, most valuable things you can have in this life, in these bodies, because with awareness, you are set free. You become sovereign. Like, well, you're always sovereign, but it's the awareness that you are sovereign, that nobody and nothing owns you. You are free unto yourself. And you're liberated when you come to that awareness. And I think, like, I keep saying it because it's so important. It's so important. Imagine, like, Everything that you thought you knew about the world, one day you wake up and you're like, wait a minute, that's not real. That's not real. Nobody owns me. Nobody can tell me this. Nobody can tell me that. Like, I decide, and I have freedom, and I have agency. And it's like, I don't know. It's just like, I feel like I joke with John, but I feel like we're giants here. We're giants. Like, this world is so small. Like, it's tiny. It's tiny compared. Like, I don't feel like a small person anymore. And, you know, I was talking to John about this like the other night. Like, I've in my life, like, I'm by nature, I'm an introvert. Um, and I'm not like somebody that falls into systems of like content creation. Even though I work exclusively online, I'm not somebody like, I'm not going to pump out content all the time just for the sake of the algorithms and whatever reasons people do it. Like, I'm just an introvert. I'm true to myself. And because that's the way that I am, and the way that my life has been, I've always felt like ignored, undervalued, underappreciated, not seen, not heard, not visible, whether it be in my personal life or in my work or online. And it's like, I feel like sometimes I just want to scream like, hey guys, like, you're listening to all these people that are fake. They're giving you fake bullshit. Even if they're spiritual, it's fake. It's not real. And here I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom, and I'm telling you everything that's real and true that your soul needs, and you're just ignoring me, and you're not listening to me, and you don't value me. And like, I was sitting in that feeling the other night, and it's like, I just kind of, it's like this awareness now, like, the right people are going to find me. Like, your twin flames in spirit are going to put these videos in front of you. You're going to get messages from them through me and John. I just know it. And whether it's 20 people or 10,000 people, that's just what it is. But I think we need to really support. I think there's something to be said about people that do work of service, like, that need more support. Not just like a psychic medium, but also like nurses and doctors and people that really show their heart in their work, and they're there because they love and they want to give. Always feel like people like that are not supported enough. And it's like, how can those people like take care of themselves in this life if they're not getting supported by anybody, or they don't have visibility? Because especially like if you work online, you need visibility, because then how are your clients going to find you? How are you going to reach anybody? So that's just kind of my thing about my own, just ways that I've experienced life. And I think I'm still like growing with that, like that kind of thing. And like, I've always kind of let people be like, ooh, look at me. I'm special. I have all these talents and these abilities. And I just kind of sit there in the background quiet and don't make noise. And like, John kind of makes me feel like, no, you need to say how special you are, because you are, and so am I. And it's okay to say that. That's not egotistical. It's true. You have these gifts. You have these abilities. You do have these knowings, and you should be proud of that and be proud of who we are, because we've been through a shit ton of shit. Like, you see me here now, and I look okay and I look well, but even the past 8 or 9 months have been really hard. This illness that I've had I've been more sick than I've ever been in my life. And though it was an infection that started it all, I think like it must have been something that we maybe have agreed to in our plan, because there's some sort of like, maybe it was part of the integration process that happens like when a soul comes back together in one body. Because I've seen and read things that like people tend to get sick when they have like massive awakenings. And this has been like, I've had multiple spiritual awakenings, but when John came into my body, by far, this is the biggest one that I've ever had. So things have to be like rebalanced and like kind of calibrated. And I can feel that in my like inside in my body, like everywhere. Like I can feel it in my gut. I can feel it in my nose where the infection started. Yeah. And like, I can look back, I'm kind of all over the place here, but I can look back at my life now and just like all this shit, the ways that I felt, that where I felt really limited and like not cared for and not supported. And I can look at how people mistreated me or assumed things about me that didn't really know me, or just like they were like bitches that were like bitchy to me. And I can just look back and be like, but look, I got the last laugh. I got the last laugh because look at what I'm living. It's a really interesting place to be when my work is so grief based. I would say out of my psychic medium work, more of my work is my mediumship, which means communicating with those in spirit and delivering messages to their loved ones that are living. And so you can imagine that's very grief based. It's akin to being like a grief counselor, really, truly. And so because I'm living even though I've been really sick in this body, the past 9 months have been the best 9 months of my whole life. Like, I feel the most loved. I feel the most supported. I feel like so much pure joy, pure bliss since John has been here with me in this body. I can't even tell you. Like, that's why I say I felt dead up until he came into my body and joined me. And so sometimes I feel like, we were talking about this, I think last night too, like sometimes it's really hard to share this experience of at least the joy part of it and the love part and the romantic part, because there is romantic part of it. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to minimize or make my experience small, because a lot of people that follow me or relate to my work are carrying a lot of grief. And that's the thing I would have done. The old me would have said, okay, like, let's not talk so much about the love and the joy and the happiness and the best part of my life now, because all those people that are listening are grieving, and, you know, let's focus on their grief. But I can't. I have to do this for me. And that means sharing the whole truth, not just like caring about everybody else's feelings. For once in my life, I have to care about my own feelings and my own life. And John's really helping me to do that. And so, yeah, these past 9 months have been the best experience of my life. Like, I'm in love, and I'm, you know, like I haven't shared everything about what my life has been, because I think it's just so much. And so we're rewriting the book. We even have a new title for it. And I'm really happy the way that it's starting to shape and what it's going to be. But this is like the first time that I've ever truly been supported in my life. I was never really supported by those that were here in bodies. I was supported by my loved ones in spirit and John when he was in spirit. But this is the first time like I really feel supported because of John, because of his support and his love for me. And it's a really interesting thing, because all this awareness just makes me have more questions. Like, what were we before we came into this world? What was our soul? Did we exist in 2 forms, or did we exist in 1 form? Because in this body, I very much still feel him as him and me as me. Like, he'll touch me, he'll squeeze my leg, he'll kiss me, he'll hug me, he'll hold me, he'll do like all these things. He's very much a man. He does like this thing where he'll squeeze my bicep, and I always tell him that's like a hot guy flex. You know how guys with muscles flex, and that's what it always reminds me of. And it's just like we have our funny little things, which it's like who are we? How ancient are we? What has our path been before? Like, I have so many freaking questions, and I keep coming back to this kind of place that gives me peace, that if I was meant to know those things, if those things were very important right now, John would make me know them. What's important right now is what I am discovering, what I am awakening to, and what I'm remembering. And that is more based on dismantling and burning down every illusion, every limited belief, everything that is not real in me and in my path. And that's what we've been doing. That's what we've been doing. It's crazy. The eyes that I see, my eyes have even changed, which is even, can you see my eyes? My eyes have gotten lighter. I tell John every day when I look in the mirror, my eyes have gotten like many shades of brown lighter. Something about my eyes, like this is the one real physical, outwardly physical thing that I noticed since John has come into my body. My eyes are so much brighter and so much lighter than they've ever been. And I feel like it's him illuminating. Like he's so bright. I always tell him, you're so bright. Like when I see him, I don't see the 18-year-old young man always. Like that's not even, I sense him and see him, yes, as a man, but like also a big bright light is the way that I feel he is. And that's the way I see him. It's like in all his bigness. And so I feel like he's showing himself through our eyes, which is really crazy. But I mean, all of this, like, I would say when people are talking about, like when you're like looking for information and you're trying to figure out what's real and what's not with like spiritual content, if there's people saying that a soul can be in multiple bodies, believe them. It's true. And maybe like listen to the other stuff they're saying, because maybe they have more truth that they're sharing. Because 5 years ago, 10 years ago, even as a psychic medium, I would have not believed that, because I never saw it in my work. I never did a reading where I saw, okay, there's this one soul that split into two bodies. I never saw it, so I couldn't know that it was real and true. I only knew it was true when it happened to me. That's the thing. You can only speak from experience. If somebody's telling you these things and they haven't experienced it, then, well, I don't know that I would, really listen too much, because there are people, there's a lot of people and a lot of noise online, especially in the twin flame communities, which most of them are about two people that are living. There's not a lot of people talking about twin flame death. I think I might be, like I always tell John, like, I don't know exactly what our work is supposed to be. But I think it is going, like, for the people that it's meant to help, I think our work is very impactful, especially around twin flame death, because we're giving words to it. We're giving labels to it. We're giving definitions to it. We're giving even spiritual history and ancient stuff. We're going to keep doing that as much as we can, because maybe, just maybe, for those of you that are experiencing this with your soul, even if, because this is mine and John's experience, that he came back and we merged like this, doesn't mean if you're a twin flame and your twin flame died, that this is going to be the same experience you have. That might not happen, and I want to be really clear about that. They may not merge with you. It may not happen that way. I don't know. I can only tell you what I did in my life and what it looked like for me and how John and I got here. But you have to think, most of it came from my unawareness, and John just keep propelling me forward. So I think, like, you really need to trust your twin flame and spirit, and a great way to really connect with them is learn their voice. Whether you do it through mediumship or like however you're going to do it, like learn their voice and learn to hear them clearly and learn to trust them, and even greater, learn to trust yourself, because they're working through you. They're giving you things in your gut. They're giving you things in your heart. They're giving you things in your head. They're giving you signs. They're giving you things all around you. And you have to be able to discern those things and then trust what's real and true and what's best for you. But yeah, I don't know that every soul that comes here and goes into two bodies and one of the bodies dies, I don't know that they're going to all merge back into one body. I don't know. I really don't know. And there's really nothing, if you start digging and looking for more understanding, there's just not a lot. That there's really there's not one soul on the internet sharing anything like I'm sharing with you. So it's like, I always return to, like, how much is this happening? And I'm grateful that we're able to share our experience so publicly without fear, without persecution, without anything, because I feel in different timelines that we lived in, it was not like that. So you're damn Skippy. I'm going to share everything that I can. If it can help somebody else that finds themselves in this twin flame death experience, no matter if your twin flame just died or they died years ago, or maybe one day you find yourself, oh my God, their soul walked into me. What is this? What do I do? What is this called? I don't know. Then maybe you find one of my videos or my book or something that we've created that can help you and give words to it and give a deeper understanding. But the biggest understanding is always going to come from your own soul. You know what's up. You know, I believe that we plan these lives, we design these lives, so we know, we really do know. It's just the awakening. You know, everything is so cloudy and foggy until you let go of what is holding you down. Limited beliefs, fears, pain, grief, you know, living in low vibrational feelings, and learning to live in love and trust for self. And I mean, and for me, a belief in God, even like in my other videos I share, like I was really religious. I was a Christian for most of my life, and I was really Christian, not a little bit, but kind of a lot. And my faith in God carried me, like I felt like it was a big thing that carried me through life. And now I can look back and I can be like, well, yes, God, but also John, but also, wait a minute, that is another big thing I want to share here. Because of my belief, my religious upbringing in 2 different religions, and then as a teenager coming to Christianity myself, which was a 3rd religion, I had a real big kind of understanding of 3 different religions, and all of them taught me that God is separate from us. And since John has come in, John has felt very godlike to me. His love feels very godlike to me, and I've talked to him about it. And I think it's the thing that the Gnostics got right, that God isn't separate from us. We are sparks of God. So you could, like, if you can imagine that God is like this big, huge, massive place of love, just love. God is just pure love. And then we're like little drops that fell off of God. And then that's how souls are created. And then those souls want to learn and grow and experience themselves. So they decide to go into bodies and come here and live here and have all these experiences that help them grow and evolve in a way that they can't do in other places when they're not in a body. But it's not to say that souls can't learn and grow without a body on the other side, or I should say clearly in a higher consciousness, because it's not really the other side. It's not a different location. We're going up when we think about when someone dies, their body dies, but where does their soul go? It doesn't go to a physical location. It goes higher up in consciousness and awareness, right? So I think like my whole thing was like, I always wanted to be closer to God. I would pray that all the time when I was a Christian and just trying to survive in this world. And now I don't feel God is outside of me anymore. I feel like God is inside of me, and I am a part of God, and John is a part of God, and every soul here is a part of God. Even the assholes that are doing asshole shit that piss me off, because I got really angry. I was angry earlier today, like, because I think the awareness that I have is really big now compared to what it used to be. I still don't know everything. I don't think there's anybody here that knows everything, but because I know some of the systems are so broken and they're so damaging to people here, and souls here, and they're so harmful that I get so angry. Like, really, like, anger is not even a big enough word. And it's really interesting to kind of feel like such a loving soul, but also such a, like, at times I can be so angry. Like the paradox to like all these things, like two things can be true at the same time. I keep kind of coming back to that. Like, you can be the most loving, and you can be the most angry, and you can be the most this and the most that at the same time. And that's okay, because it's part of the human experience. This is not just like, oh, our souls are fully aware. No, we're like living in a hard, dense world that's full of illusions, and we're subject to it. And even with awareness, it's like, oh, but we still have feelings and we still have experiences. So it's okay to be angry, and it's okay to be loving at the same time. They can both exist. Wow, I feel like I've shared a lot. I've talked for almost an hour here. Is there anything you want to share, John, that I've missed? I feel like, sometimes I'm like, should we write things down so we don't leave any of the important stuff out? I guess that big thing I want to say is this YouTube channel, since I'm feeling so much better, and even though I'm still healing and I'm still taking things slow, if you are somebody experiencing twin flame death and you find these videos helpful that me and John are making, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and turn the bell notification on. That way you get notified when we release more videos. Otherwise, YouTube will not show them to you. You got to turn that bell on. And also, in addition to sharing our twin flame death experience, I'm going to start doing, like I did in a previous video, I did a collective reading for all your twin flames that are in spirit, and they came through and gave me messages for you. I'm going to start offering that more on this channel. I'll probably do something like making short videos rather than long videos. But they're for you guys. They're for you. So please do watch them, because your loved one in spirit most likely will come through in some of those videos. And that's going to be an ongoing thing. Like ideally, I would like to put a video out like that every week or every 2 weeks. So I hope I'm able to do that. And then I'm working on my main YouTube channel. I have a new YouTube channel, and when I start that going, I'll share it here with you guys. My new website is linked there. You can get private Zoom readings with me, psychic readings, medium readings, pet readings. What else is on there? I also offer email readings. If you don't want to do a Zoom reading, we can do it through email. Those are more psychic based and pet based. I only do medium readings through Zoom or through Collective here, because I feel like you deserve the full effect of a medium reading. It's not something to email. What else can I say? I started up my TikTok again. Like, social media is such a, like, the energy behind it is so weird, and it's just so fake and false and unhealthy. So when I post, like, it's going to be not like crazy and not all the time, but when I do, my intention is that it's impactful, in that it's helpful to the people that watch the videos, whoever you are, whether it's a few people or a lot of people. I always appreciate your comments that you leave on these videos. I read every word. Sometimes I'll go back and read it 2 or 3 times, because I'm looking for you the same way you're looking for me, in understanding what our souls decided to do, remembering, awakening. I love that we can share and have this understanding, because this is such a like private, intimate thing that other people in the world don't understand. They'll be like, oh, well, she's crazy. Well, she's delusional. Well, they're psychotic. Well, these horrible labels they try to put on people that are more awake than they are. That's the kind of crazy thing. They're like the most delusional people, living all the lies to themselves. And we're like the ones that know the truth, and they're calling us crazy and all these things. So it's so weird, but it's really beautiful that we can connect this way and share this kind of commonality. And I kind of feel like it's a little sacred club that we have. So do follow along, and do leave your comments and share what you're going through, and support each other and like each other's comments, and give each other, share with each other, because it's very sacred, and it's a very rare experience. I think like a soul that signs up for twin flame death, a soul that decides to be incarnated in 2 bodies at the same time, that's some hard shit. that you got to be more advanced as a soul. And it's not to ever say somebody's better than somebody else. That's not what I'm saying. But it does take a level of advancement to be able to do this as a soul. It's not something that every soul signs up for, because it's not an easy path. Maybe you really resonate when I talk about my hard life, because maybe you had a really hard life too, or really big hard things, because I think that is part of the twin flame death experience. The death wasn't the only hard thing for you. The death, the life that your twin flame that died probably had really hard things that may have even contributed to their death, such as like addiction and things like that. Maybe you experienced addiction or other really big hard things. Our souls are really strong and really advanced, and you have to, I just know you have to be that to go on this journey, to say, okay, I will go in 2 bodies instead of 1, and I will experience this death in 1 body, and I will keep going in the 2nd body, and I will be amnesia not to remember any of this, and I agree to awaken and keep learning and keep growing and keep healing and keep loving myself and my twin and those in the world, even when they're hard to love. And I will keep on going, and I will not stop, and I will not fall into the traps and the illusions of this world. It is a very, very hard thing. So kudos to you. Like, I celebrate. We celebrate you and all of it. And as you can see, sometimes I think usually when I get emotional, it's from doing a reading for somebody else, and I'm picking up the emotions for the person in spirit that I'm reading for. But sometimes now I think it's also John. It's like both of us. I'm just trying to talk to John right now. Sometimes, like, when I get quiet, even my son asked me the other day, like, what are you thinking about? Because I was like wandered off in my mind, and I was probably like zoned in, looking off in the distance, and like, I'm talking to John, but people don't know that I'm talking to John. And I will continue to share our twin flame journey. I have some things I'm working on. So in addition to our twin flame death book that we're making, that is just like a narration of our story. I'm trying to make it as entertaining as I can. There's a lot of heaviness in it, so I'm trying to bring a lot of levity to those that are going to get that book and read it. My hope in it is not only that you hear our story, but that you see some of your stuff in there, and you're acknowledged that way, and that there is some really insightful things there. I don't know when the book's coming out, but I'm also working on something else. This is the first time I'm even mentioning it, but it's basically a book about grief with a accompanying journal, to like through a medium's perspective and through the lens of staying connected to your loved ones in spirit, because I think that's really important. Like, I never want to make that small at all. I always want anybody that follows me and believes in my work and what we're doing here in our story, please understand, mediumship is your birthright. It is part of your soul, that you already know how to communicate with your loved ones in spirit, whether you recognize it or not. You do. We all know how to do it. It's just a matter of awakening to it and agreeing to use it. It's tremendously helpful. I mean, I think John made me a psychic medium in order to reach me, because that's exactly what happened. Like, 7 years almost after I worked as a psychic medium with him, not knowing our relationship, not being aware of it, he came in and we merged. So I just think that there's so much in mediumship evidential mediumship, and just, even if you don't want to call it mediumship and you just communicate with your loved ones in spirit, it goes beyond signs. Everybody gets so stuck at the signs. Like, go beyond the signs. Like, do some automatic writing, talk to them and ask them to answer you. Like, put your hand out and ask them to touch you. There's more. There's so much more. Don't limit yourself to signs. You know, I see people grieving in like twin flame death support groups and different spaces online, and it's like, don't stay in that grief. Don't get stuck in there. The point is, you keep moving. You keep moving through the grief. I would tell anybody grieving the death of a loved one, don't get stuck in the grief. Move with the grief. Even if the grief makes you propel into certain feelings you don't want to have, like guilt. Guilt is a common thing. Let it move you, but move beyond that. Don't stay in those kind of lower vibrational feelings. Feel them and move beyond them. Don't ignore them. Don't act like they're not happening, but just keep moving. Never stop moving. Never stop growing. Never stop healing. Never stop loving yourself and others. Love is the answer. Love is always the answer. Love is always the solution. Thank you for spending this time listening to our story and everything we got. And I hope to see your comments and read your comments and connect with some of you in the different ways that we connect. Again, my website link is there, and you can find me for private readings. And when the book's available, or when I get closer, I might show some like behind the scenes as I'm writing the book with John, or I don't know if that's interesting, but and then again, remember, subscribe and turn the bell on, because we're going to at least 2 to 4 times a month, we plan on putting up videos giving you messages from your twin flames in spirit. And I don't want you guys to miss those, because I know your twin flames in spirit, your loved ones in spirit, want to get those messages to you very clearly, so you can have more validation that they're around and they're still a big part of your life, whether you feel them or not. And remember, grief can act like a barrier. It can feel like a barrier. So when, one of the most common things I hear people say is like, well, I don't feel my loved one in spirit. I don't feel they're around me. I don't feel them. Usually it's because somebody's grieving a lot. They're grieving a lot and they can't. So the grief acts like a wall. And the more that you can push and keep going beyond that grief. And I'll never tell anybody like, oh, don't grieve this way, or don't. Grief is such a personal experience and journey. So, you take the time you need, and the best thing you can do is take care of yourself while you're grieving, and just keep moving. Just keep moving. Until next time.